What's happening, YouTube? Owen here from Dark Entertainment, the place to hear tales from Wales and afar. If you're into creepy stories donated to us by people like yourselves, then feel free to like and subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Now, let's get into the video. The year is 1642. England, Wales and Scotland are caught in the middle of a bitter civil war. Half the country are in support of the king, while the other half are in support of Parliament. King Charles II has disbanded Parliament multiple times for refusing him funds to fight wars in Spain. Anger rose up and battles broke out all across the country. Religious differences are also incredibly strained, with Protestant and Catholic factions at each other's throats, and ordinary people caught in the middle. Fear and suspicion stalk the streets. Llancaiach Fawr Manor is currently owned by the Pritchard family. Colonel Edward Pritchard is a staunch royalist, but that would all soon change. On the 5th of August 1645, Colonel Pritchard hosted a banquet for the king and his retinue as they made their way from Cardiff to Brecon. Shortly after the visit, Colonel Pritchard's loyalties changed hands. It's unknown what happened at Llancaiach Fawr Manor that day, but it's clear he wasn't happy with the king afterwards. Visiting the manor in this day and age is incredibly interesting. Staff in period dress lead you around the manor, explaining about the duties and responsibilities faced by a servant during the period. It's an incredible glimpse into life during the time. But working on a daily basis in a house drenched in history is bound to bring one or two experiences that the staff didn't intend. Join us as we look into Llancaiach Fawr Manor. There are so many stories associated with the manor that it would take up hundreds of episodes. Stories occur on a daily basis in this place, so I will only be focusing on a few. Before asking permission to do an episode on the manor, I decided to take a tour just to test the waters. I pranced up to the reception and cheekily asked the receptionist if she had experienced anything. She informed me that on a couple of occasions, she'd experienced footsteps walking along the corridors behind her. But whenever she hears them and turns around, there's no one there. She also told me about an experience that she and another member of staff had had whilst closing up for the night. Since they were closing up, there were very few people in the property, and in the reception area there were only the two of them. But they started to hear what sounded like jingling. They couldn't work out where it was coming from. After a while of searching, they found that the noise was coming from the gift shop area. Upon closer inspection, they saw that two key rings out of a set of alphabetical keyrings were swinging from side to side, despite there being no breeze or vibration to make them move. After a while, one of them walked up and placed a hand over the keys to stop them from swinging. But when she removed her hands, they carried on. This was just the tip of the iceberg, though. Upon entering the manor itself, staff informed me that there are two entities that are usually seen in the entrance area. The first is usually seen on the stairs. It's the slight transparent figure of a small African boy in 17th century clothing. He is seen sitting on the stairs and smiling at visitors as they enter the property. Many people often mistake him for a member of staff. The second entity that's usually seen isn't a full entity. It's a partially transparent figure, only visible from the thigh down. Whoever it is appears to be wearing riding boots from the 17th century. It has been spotted at various points throughout the house and is usually seen stood next to one of the staff whilst they conduct the ghost tours. Now this brings me on to my first strange encounter. I was granted exclusive access to the property. One of the staff, a gentleman called Lee, allowed me to access the property first thing in the morning with him. We were the only two people in there, since he had to unlock the alarm for us to gain access. Whilst talking in the foyer, we both stopped and peered up at the ceiling. We could both clearly hear, above us, the sound of footsteps over wooden flooring. Lee carried on as if it was nothing. I, however, felt the need to change my underwear. Possibly the most famous spirit to manifest at the property is that of Martha or Mattie. Mattie appears as a 19th century maidservant and has been spotted by multiple people, including, on one occasion, making a 6'3" rugby player cry. The most famous account of Mattie comes from a man called Jeff Hamer. Jeff was a friend of the family who lived at the property during the 1970s, and on one occasion stayed over for the night. At this time, the main kitchen of the house was a living room. So for me to accurately represent what the room looked like at the time, I'll have to refer to my infamous Paint 3D skills. Good luck. Jeff went to sleep that night as normal. However, he woke in the middle of the night, ice cold. As he turned over in bed and looked up, he immediately recoiled in horror. At the foot of his bed, the figure of a maidservant was staring at him. As he stared in utter shock, she straightened up and retreated back. At this point in time, the fireplace was unknown and there was just a wall there. The figure passed through it. Staff have reported that when they've opened the manor first thing in the morning, they've heard the sounds of laughter and merriment coming from the main hall. However, as soon as they move or make a noise, all noise ceases. This has led one of the members of staff, Lee, to try to record some of the events going on in the house. I will now play you an EVP session that he recorded while sat in the parlour.
Anyone who is here, please speak your name.
In the recording, you can hear Lee ask if there is anyone in the room, and a very distinct, childlike voice replies, "Hermione." Now, I've listened to a lot of EVPs in my time, but I've never really heard one quite as clear as this. Anyway, that's all for this episode. Join us next time as we continue to explore Llancaiach Fawr Manor. Please feel free to like and subscribe, or drop a comment. Ta-ta!